Horrible. Hello, James. Do you disagree with the prompt?
Yeah.
Which one do you disagree with?
Number 7, I guess.
Let's do number 8. I don't like Goku. What's your argument for? What's your
Alright,
argument for Gojo?
I guess I'll do Gojo or Luffy. It's fine. I think Gojo scales higher.
Give me an argument.
An argument? Yeah. My argument is that Gojo scales higher.
Why would that be an argument?
An argument is just reasoning.
An argument is just reasoning?
Analytically, yeah.
Analytically? Based on what?
Based. Do you know what analytically means?
You can't hover over and say analytically, then I can...
You have the definition of what an argument is?
Can you relax? Listen to what I'm saying. This is bad. So listen, when you say an argument is okay, so your argument, this is what you're claiming to be an argument. You said Gojo scales higher. That's your argument, right? So you're saying Gojo scales are higher, and you're saying it's an argument because it's analytically an argument. Why is it analytically an argument?
Because an argument is just the reason for why something's going to be the case.
What is the reasoning for why he's going to win?
Because he scales higher. You want the scale? You want the reasoning for why I think Gojo scales higher? You want me to justify my argument? Is that what you mean? Because I can do that for you.
That's just a bare assertion. That's not an argument.
Okay, I'll tell you why I think.
Let me educate you.
That's irrelevant. What an argument is. It's really irrelevant, man. It's really
it's irrelevant because you actually can't provide any evidence as to why it would be an argument. Okay, give the argument now, please.
I think Gojo's like infinite 4D. If you have the fact that domain expansion is spatially separate, and he scales above Utah, who creates an infinite size domain, so you'd be infinite 4D via that.
I don't think being 4D invokes some form of superiority to the 3D in terms of like maybe like a higher dimension coordinately or something like that. Why would being 4D invoke some form of superiority over the 3D?
Why is 4D above 3D? Is that what you just asked me?
I'm pretty sure that's what I said, chat.
And what I said was bad, right?
Why is 4D over 3D? It should be something. It should. Wait. Hold on. Relax.
That's how dimensional hierarchies work.
Don't. What is a dimensional hierarchy? What do you think that is?
A dimensional hierarchy is when you have a certain set of dimensions, and when each dimension transcends the previous.
Each dimension transcends the previous. That's
yeah,
like
a little
bit. Okay,
you have 1D, and you have like 2D, 2D above 3D.
Hold on. Relax. Okay, relax. Okay, when you
wanted me to explain what a hierarchy of dimensions.
Okay, shut up. When you say the words each dimension transcends the previous, the ambiguity there is what does transcend mean? Physical dominance, causal independence, perceptual supremacy? What does that mean?
Infinitely being above this thing, like in terms of ontology, I guess.
Infinitely being above this thing in terms of ontology.
Yeah, sure.
Excuse me. So saying something is infinitely above something in ontology is not a meaningful claim unless you define the levels and the measure of above. You're not defining anything.
Yeah, infinitely ontologically.
Infinitely ontologically above. You understand how that's just begging the question, right?
Want me? What?
Okay, hold on. Let me explain why that's begging the question.
That's how hierarchy works, right?
That's not how hierarchies work.
You know what a dimension is? What makes up a dimension?
You're confused.
You know what makes up a dimension, right? Spatial axes, right?
Hold on, you're confused. That's just
the first dimension has one spatial axis.
James, stop spurging.
No, it's gonna be the case.
Stop speaking over me.
Each dimension is above the other, right?
Okay, when you say above, you're not actually saying anything. So listen.
Because of these spatial axes, this is what makes.
I'm gonna have to meet you low tier. So listen, low tier. Stop doing that. You hear me talking? Can we actually talk? Can we have a cordial conversation? So listen. When you say these dimensions have more axes, those are just spatial axes of freedom. Why would these more axes make some form of transcendence in some form of unambiguous way?
I was going to say that, but you kept talking. You like to do that, apparently. I don't know. But yeah, so it's going to be the case that spatial axes make each dimensional transcendent each dimension transcendent of the previous one, right? Just via what an axis is, right? So what axes do in spatial, in a spatial sense, right? In this sense, within a dimensional sense, it just allows each person to how they move, right? That's how we move, right? We move in 3 spatial axes, right? So having a 4th spatial axis, the 4th dimension, it's going to be the case that it's impossible for us to move within said space because we can't move in this on this 4th dimensional axis, right? We don't have the capability to do that. So if that's going to be the case, right, they're just able to actualize something that is infinitely transcendent or something that we can't perceive or actualize, something like that.
Are you done? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so simply having the quote unquote 4th dimensional or 4th spatial axes doesn't give someone omnipotence, omnipresent, omniscience, or multiversal
Why?
control in terms of an aspect. Hold on, relax,
Why?
low tier. Hold on, relax, low tier. Did
Why?
I interrupt you?
I'm asking
Shut
you a
up.
question. You
Okay,
made a claim.
okay, I'm gonna explain. Okay,
ahead.
so listen. Okay, I'm gonna explain. Are you gonna shut up? Okay,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna explain. All it does is just gives you access to movement along an extra coordinate. Claiming that because we can't move in it, it's transcendent, that's a category error. You're trying to combine inaccessibility with superiority. Spatial axes do not equal some form of power. You haven't proved that. In physics,
I never said.
hold on, shut up, low tier. Goodness gracious.
It's
Anyway,
that's
did
a
I
loaded
interrupt you?
question.
Did I interrupt you? Did I interrupt you?
You're straw.
Did I interrupt you?
Straw
I
man.
didn't ask you a question.
Straw man.
I didn't ask you a question.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
You
What
said,
question
did I
ask
interrupt you? That's a question, dumbass.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So listen.
You straw man my argument.
So in physics, so listen, in physics. So in physics, right? Stop interrupting me. So in physics or fictional scaling for that, an axis is just a degree of freedom. 3D axis means X, Y, and Z. The 4th axis just means W, the hypothetical, right? The 4D axis is just hypothetical W. So having more axes it just increases possible directions of motion. It doesn't automatically make you causally dominant over beings in lower dimensions. If that were to be the case, topology would be contradictory.
So what's the argument for topology?
What's the argument for topology? Are you asking why we believe topology?
I'm asking you to justify topology.
Topology is just a framework of... hold on, my bad. Oh, my bad. Okay, so basically topology is just an aspect. It's just saying... Like it's just a core argument, right? All it's saying, if character A interacts with entity B, and entity B is just a higher dimensional or non-physical, ontologically superior, then A must be ontologically equivalent to character B. That's the logical form at which we were talking about with topology. All this says within topology is that interaction requires some form of ontological equivalence. What does topology do? Topology allows us to understand the interaction on that framework. When we say something topologically is equal to something else, we're talking about a coffee mug and a donut. Those are topologically equivalent.
Okay.
It answers the question, and topology just basically studies the relation and continuity and the substance rather than not the substance of identity. In topology, all we're saying and all we're talking about is the adjacency, the intersection, and the mapping of things. It does not require us to even talk about sameness of dimension, sameness of structure, or sameness of ontological structure. Relation does not equal some form of identity. Then basically saying A relates to B, A is B ontologically. That's some material equivalence. That's just not the case.
Oh, so that's... Wow. There's multiple things wrong with that. Can you repeat the question I asked you? Because you didn't... I don't think you answered my question. So
You think that's a response to my argument?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you think that's a response to my argument?
Okay, you didn't answer my question.
So you think that's a response to my argument?
Yeah, so you didn't answer my question. All you told me is what topology is and what the study of topology is or what it does, right? You didn't even do it right. First of all. Second of all, you didn't justify why we take topology to be the case. All you said was what it was, and you said it incorrectly. So
I said it incorrectly. Why would that be the case?
that's not even the main point, bro.
Okay, yeah, because you can't justify it. Don't make claims that you can't justify.
No, what?
So listen, don't make claims that you cannot justify. So all you're asking,
justify topology.
Okay, wait, you're asking, or you're basically saying we do not believe topology as a worldview. That's like, you're asking me to justify topology. It is just the use of minimal consistency framework. If your argument violates some form of basic relational logic, it fails regardless of the verse. Topology isn't a claim about reality, it's a framework for relations. If something rejects topology, they must still explain how interaction logically necessitates identity, or why
What
relations
type of
cannot
logic are you
exist.
going under?
Not what. Oh my goodness. What type of logic am I going under?
Yeah, you're saying this is there's only one type of logic. I don't
I
think
never
that's the
said there
case.
was only one type of logic. Why did you just say
I
that?
know. I never said that. I never said that you said
Then what did
that.
you think I
Or
just said?
I'm just saying they're using the word logic as if there was only one type of logic. So
Why would I be using the word
one,
logic as if there's only one type of logic? What's the argument for that?
yo, what? Holy fuck, you're a skeptic, motherfucker. So one,
That
right?
skeptic? That
One,
skeptic? Holy fuck,
One,
you're
you
horrible.
never justified why topology is going to be the case.
Why do I have to
Never-
justify? I just wait. Hold on. Are you?
No,
legit?
you didn't. All you said
I
is
just explained to you why we use topology. I just
No, you
explained to you why
didn't.
we use
No,
topology.
you didn't.
Yes, I did.
This is insane. Holy fuck.
You were a horrible debater,
You're
gang.
calling me a low tier. You can't even track what you're saying. You can't even track what
Oh
I'm
my
saying. This is
goodness, you're
embarrassing for
horrible.
you. You,
Oh my
you say,
goodness, you're horrible.
First of all, what you've made so many fucking blunders, right? There's everything you said is
Oh my
loaded as
goodness,
fuck.
you
It
were
takes so
horrible.
many presuppositions. This is over, dude. Like, holy fuck, you're stupid.
Okay, so
Can't
listen.
justify
So
topology.
listen, I'll say it.
Doesn't know
I'll say
what
it one more
logic
time,
is.
low tier. I'll say it one more time, low tier. That's the only time I'll say it. One more time, right? We do not believe topology as a worldview. Expand the justification for topology. Topology isn't a claim about reality. It's a framework for relations. If you reject topology, or if someone or something rejects topology, they must still explain how interaction logically necessitates identity, or why relations cannot exist across unequal structures. Without that explanation, your position basically reduces to I assume interaction means equality because I need it to. So basically, interaction does not inquire some form of ontological equivalence. Like, your argument is just assuming without proof that entities or two entities must share some form of ontological status in order to interact. That's what you're saying with your dimensional framework there. Now give me an argument.
Oh, you're putting words in my mouth, right? So one, right? You're saying topology is a framework under reality, right? Correct? Okay. Well, I asked you a question. That's correct, right? That topology is a framework under some sort of logic, right? So if this is going to be the case, then justify the logical framework that you're presupposing that we're under right now.
Justify the logical framework that I'm presupposing that we're under.
Yeah, well, topology, you said it's a framework of some sort of reality or logic. So I'm asking you to justify the logical framework that topology is under. Whichever logical framework that may be.
It's bad. I mean, I'll answer this question, but it's bad for you. Like, I don't like it's just that's just because, like, listen, that's kind of burden shifting, because topology isn't a framework under reality. Like, you're just mistaking.
What is it? You just said it was. You just said it was.
It's not the way you're implying. That's what I'm saying.
Nigga,
it does not require me to. Okay, listen. This does not require me to justify some hidden logical universe beyond standard reasoning. You're just conflating mathematical structure and logical metalanguage and ontological commitments. Basically saying, is topology a framework under reality? What? Like, that's stupid. That's descriptive in some descriptive sense. In some descriptive sense, maybe that matters, right? Topology is just a mathematical framework built on set theory and used in some form of modal relation, like continuity, adjacency, and what's the connectedness and intersection. Now give me the argument.
What's set theory? I don't know
what is set theory?
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what set theory is? Okay.
No, explain to me.
It's just a foundation of modern mathematics.
A modern mathematics. So I'm assuming you're going under like Aristotelian logic, right? That's what I'm asking. Is that the case?
Yeah, that's basic. Like, it's just
okay. Can you
hold on? Shut up. But pointing to that, like, I don't think that just doesn't really shift the debate or give you some form of weight. Like all the reasoning. Shut up. All the reasoning in this debate requires some form of logical framework. You're just logic LARPing. You're not smart. Please give me an argument.
What? Just so you can't justify your position, so I'm LARPing? What?
I can't justify my position. I just justified fucking topology for
No,
you.
you didn't.
You're not tracking.
No, you didn't. You can
Yo,
go.
do you know Jose? Do
You
you know
can send
Jose?
direct to anyone you fucking want. You didn't justify shit.
Oh my god.
You're
You were horrible.
presupposing. You're just presupposing everything.
What am I presupposing? You just saying I'm presupposing. What am I presupposing?
Yeah, you're presupposing one that topology is going to be the case, and you're presupposing that whatever logical framework that topology follows is also going to be the case. Which I've asked for both arguments, and you haven't supported either one.
Oh my goodness. Like, okay. So we're basically presupposing both. That's what you're saying. But like that's not
Yeah.
arbitrary or cheating. Like I don't get how that's like that's just
Well,
it's
if you
just
can't
necessary for reasoning.
if you can't
Hold on, shut
substantiate
up,
that, then it's
James.
not
You're a
gonna-
low tier. Shut up, James. I'm actually going to get to that. Okay. Every discussion about some form of dimensional hierarchies, topology, or scaling requires some formal framework. Like, okay, or else like the claims are meaningless. Like you're basically attempting to frame this as some form of illegitimate presupposition. Like that's just diversion. Presupposing topology is not special. Topology is a mathematical tool, a way to formalize relationships like continuity, adjacency, and correctness, and basically reasons about higher dimensions or spatial axes is just some form of instrumental, not metaphysical. So I don't get why you're saying you need to prove topology exists in reality. Like you only need a coherent framework to discuss objects and movements or space. I don't like let me give you an analogy, Lotier. Like imagine like you don't need to shut up because you're clearly not understanding. Imagine you don't need to prove coordinate geometry, right? You don't need to prove coordinate geometry exists to measure distances in physics. It's just a framework for reasoning, not a claim about ultimate reality. Give me the argument.
Okay, so that's just a burn shift, right? So again, you're using topology and whatever logical framework it abides by as a debunk to ontologies or dimensions being transcendent over another, or whether or not they interact, right? So if this is going to be the case, right, then it's going to be burden shift, right? Because I've already asked you to substantiate topology and the logical framework it abides by, and you still haven't done that. So as far as I'm concerned, you're still on the burden here.
You're so stupid. Presuppositions are necessary scaffolding, not conclusions. They only become illegitimate if you misapply them. Claiming topology itself proves some form of relation between Gojo being above Luffy that hasn't been done yet. Your argument just fails before the fucking reasoning even reaches that step. And basically saying there's no burden shift here. There's absolutely no burden shift because topology and classical logic are not conclusions, and I'm not using them to I'm using them to debunk you basically. And they are just the background rules. Hold on. Those things are just background rules and make your claims unintelligible.
I know.
Excuse me.
I know you're using. That's right. That's what I just said 2 minutes ago, right? I said you're using topology.
But you don't get to deband their substantiation while simultaneously relying on them to argue about dimension transcendence or interaction.
You claim this to be the case, right? So I said Gojo's infinite 4D.
So you're misidentifying. You're just misidentifying. You're misidentifying what topology is. You're misidentifying what topology is. Topology proves some form of ontological transcendence is false. If you don't care about topology, then what are you talking about?
I don't care. Well, I don't care what it is, right? All I'm asking you, right? Because you use topology to debunk the claim that Gojo being infinite 4D means that he's superior to someone who's not infinite 4D, right? So you using topology to debunk this claim, you inherently have to justify why we're going to take topology to be the case, why this is going to be true. If we can't understand why that's going to be true, or why we're going to take it to be the case, then why would I take it to be the case? It won't be true at all.
Listen, because you already invoked it. It's because you already invoked it, low tier. The moment you talk about, the moment you argue, low tier, the moment you argue infinite 4D, quote unquote, axes, dimensions, or above, topology is no longer optional. It is logically entailed by your own claim. I don't need to justify introducing topology. You presuppose it first. I'm holding you to those consequences. Like why topology is in play at all in this scenario is because when you say Gojo is infinite 4D, therefore superior to someone who is not infinite 4D, you're already claiming a structured space, distinct dimensions, relation like above, within, or transcendent, or compatibly between levels. Those are topological notions. Topology is the minimum mathematic of space dimensional structures. So it's not that you brought in topology to debunk me, because that's what you said, right? I didn't do that. It's that you made a dimensional claim, and topology is the minimal framework that tells us what the claim actually means. In saying that,
Okay,
and I don't need to
great. Wow.
justify, topology. Like
So let
ontological claims about reality and fundamentally topological.
I respond.
No, I'm not finished. Ontological claims about reality and
You're yapping.
fundamentally
You're yapping.
topological would need justification. That's what you're saying, right? No, methodological, right? Constraints, like let's say, quote unquote, if you ask about dimensions and axes, your claims must obey the rules of dimensional structures. That's unavoidable. I'm not asserting some form of topology as true and ultimate reality. I am literally just using topology as consistency filter on your own argument. Like imagine like if you claim you ran faster than light. I don't need to justify physics. I just need to check whether your claim violates the rules you're already invoking. Now give me an argument, low tier.
Okay, so you did a whole lot of yapping, 99% of it meant nothing. Okay, so I don't need to claim dimensional transcendence here. I could just say that I don't know where you scale Luffy, right? But I just want infinite forward can be above that. It doesn't have to be necessarily the case that Gojo's infinitely transcendent dimensionally, and that Luffy can't interact, whatever. I don't care about that. Right? All I care about is that infinite 4D is gonna be stronger than whatever Luffy or whatever attack Luffy can produce. They can be on the same I guess level ontologically, right? I don't really care about that. Sure, we can take it to be the case that they can interact. I never said that. Like I don't really care why, or I don't really know why you got on my dick about that, right? It's gonna be the case. I just think it's gonna be the case that infinite 4D is above anything Luffy can do. I don't care about dimensional transcendence. Apparently, since you can't answer the question, I'll just
No, because that's a concession. Thank you for conceding. Okay,
What?
we can move
It
on to
wasn't a
this.
concession.
You just conceded,
I'm just
but you just
steelmanning.
conceded to that point. You just conceded that point.
I'm just steel manning because you're a dumbass.
That was steel manning, but like you're just gonna because your pride is too high. You're not gonna say you're conceding. You're just gonna steel man, right? Okay,
Well,
sure.
you didn't understand what I was saying. But
Moving on. Yeah, because that was concession. You couldn't actually refute the argument that I caused.
It was a steel man.
So listen. You're basically saying infinite force beats anything. That's just a false by
What?
definition.
What?
That's literally what you said. That's literally what you said.
What the
You're
fuck?
equivocating.
W straw man. What?
Oh my goodness! Stop interrupting me. You're equivocating infinity, and you're ignoring interaction constraints and assuming magnitude alone determines some form of outcome. The claim collapses immediately. So the reason that this collapses and why you're low tier is because you just said I just have infinite force. I don't get how that sentence grants you anything. Force is not free floating quantity. It's not a free floating quantity. Force is defined by interaction dependent, context bound, and applied within a system. Even in physics, force equals mass times acceleration within a space-time framework. So the moment you force some form of the moment you say force, you're already committing yourself to a medium of interaction, a causal system or a target that can receive force. Now give me an argument.
Holy yeah, but you think you sound smart as fuck. Okay, so I'm not. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm not saying that. Wow, it's W strawman. Wow, that's a lot to break down here. So I'm not saying Gojo is gonna be like above everything because he's infinite 40. That's not what I said whatsoever. I don't know why you try to put that in my mouth. Pause. I just think it's going to be the case that Infinite 4D is above anything Luffy can produce or anything Luffy can tank, right? Just the same way that something like, solar system level we're able to like completely obliterate something that's like wall level, right? In that sense, right? Not in whatever the fuck you said.
Yeah, that's just like also like horrible because you're just giving some form of analogy that's just you're smuggling some form of linear power hierarchy, like solar system over wall level, and you're pretending infinity 4D or whatever you said works the same way that it doesn't. Like you still haven't shown that infinite 4D is a higher magnitude on the same axes as Luffy's feats, rather than a different kind of like effect altogether. Like so basically saying like what you're actually claiming and like all you're doing is just, and I'm being charitable because this is like horrible. You're basically saying Gojo transcends all ontology. Luffy can't interact with him. This is just an example. Relax. Gojo transcends all ontology. Luffy can't interact with him. Higher dimensions automatically win. Whatever infinity 4D is, it is so large in magnitude that anything Luffy can output or endure is beneath it. The same way a wall level is what it like beneath universal. Like your analogy only works if both things are like the same metric, and they're not.
I'm not claiming dimensional transcendence. That's not what I'm claiming.
Is there an argument there?
Did you listen to what I? So
Is there an argument there?
okay, so I don't think you actually listened because I literally like 2 conversation guards, like 2 points ago, right? I agreed that like we don't have to talk about dimensional transcendence. I don't care about Gojo being dimensionally transcendent above Luffy. All I'm saying, right, is this level of output in terms of power, right, to be above whatever Luffy can endure. So I don't see how Luffy's gonna be able to survive anything.
What's the argument for that? Prove that.
Prove that Gojo's infinite 40. Sure, yeah. Like I said, domain expansions are spatially separate, right? That's gonna be 40 under space-time continuum, and Yuta creates an infinite sized said domain expansion, and Gojo scales above, or Gojo's gonna be above Yuta. So that's why. And in terms of where I scale Luffy, I mean, sure he's like continental or.
I don't give a fuck where you scale Luffy. Like, why would you say that? Like, are you stupid?
Well, that's the argument. I mean,
no, I didn't ask you for an argument for Luffy. Are you slow? Are you okay? So listen.
That's the Gojo argument. There you go.
Yeah. So that's all I needed. So listen.
There you go.
Yeah. So the reason why this is like just horrible because an infinite size domain does not make something does not make it 4D, and scaling
That's
above.
not what I said.
Oh my goodness! You said infinite sized equals 4D. An infinite spatial. Yeah, you said an infinite spatial. You said an infinite spatial extent is like, and basically an infinite spatial extent is still 3D and it's embedded. And if it's embedded in 3D space or 3D sub manifold or space time, like imagine like a line can be infinite and still 1D, and a line can be infinite and still 2D, and so on and so forth as we go on. Dimensionality is not about independent degrees of freedom.
I know. I never said Yuta's domain expansion.
Independent degrees of freedom.
I never said Yuta's domain expansion.
You're saying Yuta over Gojo in terms of scaling. That doesn't work.
That's not.
Because
no,
Yuta's domain is
crazy.
infinite in extent. It's infinite in extent. Prove what somewhere infinite it is.
Okay, I can do that for you. Okay, so oh my goodness, so I never said that Yuta's domain expansion was 4D because it's infinite size. I never said that, right? What I said is that domain expansions with barriers are 4D because they are spatially separate, right? And under a space-time continuum, right, space and time are intertwined, which is what makes it 4D. So that's why domain expansions are 4D, right? And Yuta's domain expansion would be infinite 4D, right? Because it stated he has an unlimited amount of swords within his domain. Obviously, something infinite cannot be contained in a finite area. So it's going to be the case that Yuta's domain expansion is infinite in size while being 4D. That's why I don't think
that works. So being under a space-time continuum doesn't make something 4D in some form of scaling sense. Like in a spatial separation, and spatial separation does not add a dimension. So basically, like you're saying, right? Shut up. So you're saying domains with barriers are 4D because space-time is intertwined. Right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so shut up. No, I don't need anything further. I don't need anything further. Shut up, Lotier. I don't need anything further. So everything that exists physically in JJK is already described by space-time, by your logic. Every room, every building, every pocket space would be quote-unquote 4D just existing in time. That's not how dimensional scaling works. Time being present does not elevate an object to a higher dimensional status. 4D is scaling in some form of scaling debate in that sense. It's just meaning that having an additional independent degree of freedom, not merely persisting through time. And spatial separation does not equal dimensional transcendence. Domains are spatially separate, therefore 4D is what you're saying. That's non sequitur. That doesn't matter. Spatial separation establishes some form of boundary conditions and topological isolation. It does not entail and it does not establish an extra axis or orthogonality in some form of 3D space or a higher dimensional embedding. Like a pocket dimension literally just means a finite or infinite, separate or sealed. Like, and it's still entirely 3D. You haven't actually substantiated that. And unlimited, and you're saying unlimited swords. Why would that imply infinite through 4D? That's literally just a categorical error. Like an unbound or extremely large quantity of objects does not imply infinite spaces, nor does it imply like higher dimensions or infinite energies output.
Shotgunning. So okay.
Wait, I'm shotgunning? Those are 3 of your points. You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Oh my. Anyways.
Give me an argument.
Anyways, yeah. So via the theory of relativity, right? By the way, Einstein, my nigga. So space and time being intertwined does make it 4D, right? I'm not saying that everything existing in a space-time continuum is 4D, right? What I'm saying is that a space-time, right, which is what a space-time continuum is, a space-time, is 4D via the theory of relativity, right? So manipulating said space, right, or affecting said space would scale you to it, which is why these characters that can create domain expansions with barriers, at least, would be 4D because they're creating a space-time, which are 4D.
Wait, so you think, hold on. So this construct that you think is 4D, manipulating it would make you 4D?
Yes.
That's just topologically incorrect.
Again.
That's topologically incorrect. That's topologically incorrect. You're invoking topology again, and you already conceded to the topology argument. Any form of interaction, do you think that manipulating is interaction?
Manipulating is interaction, yes.
So if manipulating is some form of interaction, then we're under some form of topological framework where we have to understand what does interaction mean with other forms of dimensional constructs. Why would interacting with another dimensional construct invoke some form of ontological equivalence? You're making a biconditional here. Please substantiate or motivate the biconditional. I'm not talking about
ontology. I don't care about ontology. I don't care about Gojo being ontology.
Do you know what ontology is? Do you know what ontology is?
Yes, ontology is just a state of existence, dude.
So you're making a claim that A interacting with B makes some form of material equivalence, or is a sufficient / necessary condition for it to be ontologically equivalent to B. You're saying it scales to it.
I don't give a fuck about ontology.
You're invoking ontology. You're already invoking ontology.
I don't care about ontology.
So then your argument has no basis. Your argument has no basis then.
Oh my god! Conceded. Just send me the clip, bro. This is over. You
just conceded. W concession. You're low tier. You're low tier.